Imagine yourself walking on the beach. It's a quiet, beautiful morning, your favorite tea in hand, a light breeze at your back, your feet softly crushing the wet sand, and for a moment, you pause and find yourself vulnerable to the cliche, "This is heaven." You reach the end of the strand, which becomes impassable at a cliff, jutting into the water, and so you turn back. There's nowhere you need to be, and turning around might guarantee more of the same experience, one that you simply cannot get enough of. But walking in the opposite direction, you notice something new. Directly ahead of you, your footprints, a trail showing you exactly where you came from. As you walk, you notice 5, maybe 10 additional sets of footprints, some bigger, some smaller, some deeper, some more shallow. Whose footprints are they? You might look around and see a handful of people, but some of the footprints have been washed away, almost completely erasing the remnants of their creators. As the footprints fade, you can't help but wonder, was that person a doctor? A mother? Was he or she having a bad day? What if you knew those people who left behind their footprints? What if their life, their imprint left a mark on your life? What if passing them in the sand was not the end, but rather the beginning of how your life was changed after walking beside them, and you didn't even know it? Our Torah tells of Jacob's famous dream, where there's a sulam, a passageway with which angels go up and down. It reaches directly from his head to the heavens. God stood next to, or maybe even atop Jacob in this dream, and told Jacob the land he was lying on was his, for him, and his descendants. God promises protection and companionship along every step of Jacob's journey. That's kind of akin to a coach saying to someone new to the sport, "You are going to be the next Michael Jordan," without any indication of how. No path before you to follow. Jacob awoke from his dream and said, "Achen yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh ve'anochi lo yadati." Surely there is God in this place, and I did not know. Ma norah hamakom hazeh. How wondrous this exact place. The Hebrew word for place, hamakom, becomes a name for God. How wondrous is God, because this place exposed me to godliness, to relationship with the divine. God was here, and I stopped, and I focused on what I experienced, and now I recognize how it has affected my life. I did not know, and with the opportunity to clear my mind and just experience, I am in relationship with God. The mark of God in Jacob's story is a limp, caused by his struggle with God, but also an imprint on his heart and soul. And so it is with me, and maybe also with you. I recently read the beautiful book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, by Mitch Albom. The premise for the story is quite self-explanatory, so I will not be giving anything away by sharing that the main character, Eddie, dies in the first few pages and then spends the rest of the book meeting 5 people in heaven who have impacted his life or whose lives he has influenced. As Eddie is becoming acquainted with his purpose and seeing all of these people, he is told, there are 5 people you meet in heaven. Each of us was in your life for a reason. You may not have known the reason at the time, and that is what heaven is, for understanding your life on earth. Understanding your life on earth is heaven. That's a powerful mindset for living. If this is it, These are the moments, these are the people, these experiences are what create my story, and that is it. These interactions might seem mundane, but what if I focus deeply on why they are occurring, how they are occurring, and how do you and I really affect one another? What if I had the presence of mind to cherish yours and my smallest moments, knowing that after a few seconds, that moment will have passed, giving way to an equally valuable one, knowing that the next tide flow will begin to erase those footprints. So here we are. It's Yom Kippur, a day marked by uniqueness, abnormal from our everyday routine, a day to which we assign value. We are taught that Yom Kippur imitates death in many ways. We're not eating, we're not sharing physical intimacy, we may not have groomed and gussied up. Some of us might be in shul for the first time all year. It is unique, different, and special as a result. However, Yom Kippur is not about the day itself. It is the seam between 1 year's culmination and a new year where we begin to better ourselves. Its uniqueness should not be the experience of today, but rather how we use the time to recalibrate ourselves in the name of being present. It is not about feeling death. It is about recognizing that we still want and hopefully have time to get to know the makers of the footprints around us, our own and those walking alongside, behind, and in front of us. In fact, our tradition directly tells us this. Before we can recite Kol Nidre or approach the closing gates of Ne'ilah, we must answer the question of Hineni. Who am I? Who will I be this year? Who have I become? How will I influence someone's life in a more meaningful way, in a deeper way? Eheyeh asher eheyeh. I will be that I will be. God says this in response to Moshe when asked which name to share with the people. It's a name that speaks to me loudly this year. It's a name that says, I am me, who is here and will be here in the next immediate moment, full in my presence. We are each of us in different forms of ourselves in different moments, but if we are not present, we are unclear as to who is at our core. Rabbi Nachman connects this name of God to the overall process of teshuvah. Eheyeh, I am prepared to be, which before teshuvah, we do not know what being will become. How are we half existing in our lives, our relationships, our realities? How do we fully claim our readiness to exist? How do we become more present, more aware of that which I will be this year? Eddie, the novel's protagonist, learns there are no random acts. We are all connected. You can no more separate one life from another than you can separate a breeze from the wind. Why can't you and I be more aware of those truths and more of our activities and interactions in the world? The experiences we have in our life, if we can truly acknowledge them and find meaning in the moment, will impact not only our story, but the story of those around us. But then we have to pause. Veshuv yom echad lifnei mitatecha. Do teshuvah on the day before your death, Pirkei Avot says. But how would one know which day is the day before their death? And the only reasonable answer is, you can't know. Therefore, your only option is to do teshuvah every day. Turn the scrolls of the book of your life this way and that, backwards and forwards, learning more from it each time. Eheyeh asher eheyeh teaches us that we must do teshuvah each day because today's teshuvah will be different from tomorrow's. We know to do teshuvah, but as Rabbi Nachman teaches, do the teshuvah today, because tomorrow you will do the teshuvah on yesterday's version of yourself. The purpose of Yom Kippur is not to do teshuvah for the first time this year, it's to do teshuvah today, for this first day of this version of you. Then tomorrow you will do teshuvah again, with presence of mind, body, and spirit to know I will be what I will be. In the 21st century, being present is a greater challenge than ever before. We find ourselves at the convergence of what feels like infinite struggles, pulling us in one direction or another, requiring our attention and demanding our presence. Even in moments of solitude, we have found ourselves so deprived that perhaps being aware of our own condition was nearly impossible. Presence of self. Am I an introvert or an extrovert? Do I need time to process, or am I able to express myself with a moment's notice? Can I define who I am before others ask for my story? Do I show myself love and care, or tuck down to the pieces of me that I call flaws? Can I notice the parts of me that are unique and introduce them, not hide them, from the world? Presence of time. This year begins a year of Shemitah, a year of letting our land lie fallow without growing, reaping, sowing, or harvesting, a time to connect to our land, whether through acts of environmental justice, or buying more local produce, or joining our Beth Am Green Team, yes, that's a plug, to help create a more intentional community around use and waste. Shemitah not only gives our land a Shabbat, but allows those in need more access to produce and healthy calories. Our presence of time gives rest to that which gives us life, and blessing to those who lack in access. Presence of space. Presence in a moment for those around you. Creating makom, a place of listening, of comfort, of support, of calm, of love, of honesty. Stand in front of someone who is scared. Look into their eyes and show them you're a soft place to land. Listen to someone crying. Be still. Give a hug if it's desired, and wipe away the tears. Reach out to someone in need, give them your hand, and help them get up. Speak up for someone who is silenced, and speak their truth, not the truth you already have the privilege to share. It does not matter where you are. A kitchen, a living room, a sidewalk, a stadium, a yoga studio, a sanctuary. Presence of space is how to show someone I am here for you to be you. Maya Bernstein, in an article written for Tablet magazine about living with mortality on Yom Kippur, speaks of her cancer diagnosis as a way of awakening to the realities of the day. She writes, I gradually became aware that I had a choice. I could get through it as if my illness were an irritating detour. I could put my foot on the gas pedal, speed through this unanticipated extra leg of my life's journey, and attempt to return to, quote, normal life as quickly as possible. Or I could heed the pull of this newly open road. When I allowed myself to stop moving so quickly, I began to feel the vastness of the sky, the slow warmth of the sun seeping into me. I began to sense that this experience wasn't delaying or encumbering or impinging on my life. It was my life. It offered a completely new way of being. I became less rushed. I developed clarity and confidence about how I wanted to spend my time and with whom. Maya is poignantly speaking to the power of finding meaning to be present. We are each of us blissfully unpresent because we live life as if we are immortal. But as Maya points out, Yom Kippur reminds us every year that that cannot be the case. Maya quotes a recent article in the New York Times where Sister Alethea, the nun featured, explains that we try to suppress the thought of death or escape it or run away from it because that's where we will find happiness. But it's actually in facing the darkest realities of life, she says, that we find light. If we are present, conscious, appreciative of the moments we have with others, walking the beach and wondering about each set of footprints, we are living heaven on earth. So what is there to suppress? We are already capable of living our ultimate happiness. Presence of self, hineni. Presence of time, teshuva. Presence of space, makom. Walking the sands of a beach, you hear the crashing waves around you. You feel the sun kissing your skin. You notice the breeze tussling your hair into your face. But who are you? What is the teshuva you are doing today to put your best self forward? Eheyeh asher eheyeh. I will be what I will be, and today I am. This moment of Kol Nidre begs us to enter a new year, valuing the moments that will affect us. Live life knowing that this is heaven on earth. Gemar Chatima Tova.